Sam Smith. Hello.
Hello, darling.
How
Jameela.
are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for being here today. I was wondering, what made you want to start speaking out about body image, which is one of the things that we're talking about today?
Yeah, this is my first time ever speaking about it. And recently I was on tour, and my whole life I struggled with my body and my relationship with it. And
Truly your whole life? Like
my
since
whole
you
life.
were, how old was the first time you...
From since I can remember. Like, since I was a
Really?
baby, yeah. And I was on tour working out every day, being really super healthy last year. And I came off of tour, and over Christmas just started eating a lot and getting into bad habits. And when I was on holiday recently, a few months ago, I was like, for the first time ever, I just had a kind of a surge in me to fight against my issues instead of being a victim to them all the time. And so I started following iWeight, started reading up on stuff, like looking at stuff and actively searching for help, I guess, and a way to talk about it and hear other people talking about it.
And so what was that moment? Do you remember? What, you just woke up one day and were like,
No,
I can't live like this anymore?
It was another situation on holiday, every holiday I've ever been on, where everyone's by the pool. And I have to take my t-shirt off and get in the pool, and it's a painful experience for me every since I was a kid.
I've not worn a swimsuit since I was 13 in public, so I know what you mean.
It's horrific. I mean, I used to like get my mum to write in notes to the school when I was like 8, so I wouldn't have to go to swimming lessons because I have to hold my chest like this. So it's something that's been with me forever. And this holiday, I was like, do you know what? I need to fight this because I can't live my life like this anymore. It's exhausting.
That's amazing that you also addressed it in yourself, because I think that there is a lot of shame and a massive lack of information around men's body positivity. And so was it easy for you to find men who were talking about this, or was it mostly women that you found talking about this?
I haven't really found many men talking about it, if
Yeah.
I'm completely honest. Especially no well-known men. I think if I hunt hard enough, there's obviously people. I saw a guy recently that you posted on iWeight, beautiful guy, like looking incredible, and I found that very inspiring. But I don't hear a lot of guys talking about it. Even doing this chat right now, it feels a bit weird.
Yeah,
because
we're breaking new ground.
Guys don't speak about this that much on a big scale, in terms of someone who's well known.
And why is that? Why do we think that is? Is it because vanity is something that is seen to be only really a female allowed thing? Because you know the way that like men aren't really supposed to groom themselves, men aren't supposed to get manicures or take care of themselves.
And men aren't supposed to cry or be emotional, or you know, I guess it's the toxic masculinity conversation, isn't it? That's weighing over guys all the time. It weighs over me. It doesn't feel manly, does it, to talk about how I feel in my body every day? But that's what I'm trying to fight against, I guess.
And so taking it back, so you're saying that you were as young as 8 when you felt too self-conscious to swim. Like, how young do you think it was that you really were aware of your body being different to other people's bodies?
I think when I was a kid, I was chubby. But when I say kid, I mean like 5, 6 years old. And then it would get worse and worse and worse, and I was holding a lot of weight in my chest. And then when I hit 11 years old, I went to the doctors, because my mum she's clever about it. I was so self-conscious that it was affecting my mood every day and my life as a teenager. And she went to the doctors and basically said they examined my body, examined my chest, and I was holding a lot of estrogen in my chest. And I had more estrogen than many boys did in my chest.
Which is also, by the way, so much more common than people realise.
Yes, crazy.
Something that
crazy.
So many boys are going through and living
I
with that we just don't talk about.
Yeah, I had breasts.
Yeah.
I fully had breasts. And I had liposuction. I was 12 years old. Had liposuction, day operation, and that was a big thing. At the time, I think I was very happy about it. It didn't really change anything. I think I put the weight back on in like 2 weeks because I hadn't figured out my relationship with food. So it didn't really change anything. But being 12 years old and having liposuction on your chest is quite a big deal. And it was just the basis of all of my teasing, all of my bullying, my whole life.
I was going to ask, like, how young were you when bullying started? Because I was like maybe 11 when the bullying became really out of control about my weight.
I think it was about 11 years old.
Yeah.
I had some horrible situations in school with guys where, a guy grabbed my chest once in the playground in front of all his friends. It was horrible. It was fucked up.
That's so traumatic.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And I've started therapy a year ago, which is why I think I'm doing this. It's because I'm starting to dig in deeper and realise that's partly why I get sad.
And so did this bullying kind of go on throughout school?
Yep. It went on till I was about 16 and then it stopped. I lost a lot of weight when I hit 16. I was in a good place actually between 16 and 18.
Is that psychologically or just physically you were
Physically,
slim?
not psychologically. Right. I was still dealing with a lot of stuff about being gay, and I hadn't met any gay person until I was 18 years old because I lived in the countryside in the middle of nowhere.
And you were the only person in that entire
Literally
village?
the only gay in the village.
Didn't want to say it.
Literally. Actually, I found out I was not the only gay in the village the other week. But,
okay, great.
But I felt
and you
like
came out young.
Came out when I was 10.
That's so brilliant that you have the kind of parents that would help you feel like you know yourself, but also that you can let them know you.
So lucky.
And yet being gay, so that became a problem for you about around 16?
It became more of a... I started to... When I hit 18 years old, I was like, fuck, I'm behind. I haven't had my first kiss. I haven't met anyone that thinks like I do. I'm not a gay man. I'm just a guy that is attracted to men. I don't know anything about the community. I don't know anything. So it was a very lonely feeling.
And around 16, am I right in saying that you stopped wearing any boys' clothes?
Yes, 16. So 16, I stopped wearing boys' clothes. Yeah, and I would wear leggings, fur, full makeup every day.
Just to school?
To school.
You were very influenced by Lady Gaga?
Very influenced by her and her support. She had a support band called Semi-Precious Weapons.
Great.
And the lead singer was in heels, and he was beautiful. So I kind of based myself on him. Yeah.
And was that a source of any kind of negativity or strange behaviour from other people around you, considering that you were the only gay person in the village?
Well, because it was such a small village, and my town that I went to school in was so small, I was a big fish in a small pond, and I turned into the gay clown, basically. people would shout stuff on the street at me, like horrible stuff, but I owned it.
Where did that confidence come from?
I have no idea. It's weird. It's weird how I was that confident, and then it all just went south after that. It was strange because I moved to London, and then when I moved to London, dressing up like that became very heavy because it was like putting on armour every day to go out, because in London it's aggressive. It's aggressive. Mm-hmm. So I slowly started to stop. I put jeans on, and then I put, changed my outfits, and then stopped wearing makeup slowly, and then became just in time for when Latch was released with Disclosure. Pretty much everything was gone.
There was a lot of suits. I remember that.
Yes, because that became the armour.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the suit thing happened about a year and a half, and that's because I was gaining so much weight rapidly, and I was so busy. The only thing that I could wear was suits.
And was there a psychological reason for why you felt like your weight was suddenly changing again after you'd lost all that weight and you were suddenly gaining more weight? Was there an emotional eating? Were you stressed, or was it just happening?
I made money and I spent all my money on food.
Oh, great.
That's what happened.
I'm down for that.
But when I got sad, to cheer me up, I'd go for a massive meal somewhere, and it got worse and worse, and then it was like binge eating in hotel rooms, and then it was the eating was getting so intense. And then body dysmorphia I've always had it since I was a kid.
Can you explain what body dysmorphia is for people who don't understand?
I don't really necessarily know enough about it, but all I know is that I rely on other people to tell me what size I am, because I genuinely don't know.
I have the exact same thing. I literally cannot see my body in a mirror. Weirdly, I can see it in photographs, but until I've seen a photograph of what I look like, I have no idea of what I'm seeing in the mirror. I don't just have it with my body, I have it with my face. I can't see my features. I'm so it's so altered for me. Yeah. And so are you able to at least identify yourself and via it, you have to just see what fits? I guess so, yeah. But it upsets me because it happens to me all the time. Even 2 days ago, I was looking back at, someone showed me a picture from literally 4 months ago.
And I remember that day, and I remember looking in the mirror that day, like grabbing my weight and like looking in the mirror like, fuck, you need to lose weight. But in that picture, I'm the skinniest, the most toned I've ever been.
I do kind
and
of...
it makes me upset.
I do want to talk about that, not because I don't want to... It's not your weight that I want to focus on, but more kind of your relationship with your body. There was you have lost a substantial amount of weight very quickly in the last couple of years, and that it feels like that happened around a similar time that you went through a public fat-shaming incident.
Yes.
Are you okay talking about it?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what happened. I got really big, and I was being unhealthy. And I was in Australia, and I got a pat picture of me. It's quite a funny picture, but I'm like diving off of this rock, and my belly's out. And
I was midair in my fat shaming photograph that the Daily Mail ran.
They never look.
How was I midair?
Yeah.
Why? I'm never midair. Like, how did they get that photograph of me? And you know what's amazing is that I'm running for a food truck, which nobody knows, but I was running, and so I look panicked in the photograph, but it's because I was running. I was worried I was going to miss the food truck. Okay, so you're diving off. So you were. That photograph got circulated around the world.
Everywhere, yeah. And I remember, even at the time, I remember not thinking that I looked that bad, because when at my biggest, I didn't think that I was that big. But then something triggered. It triggered something in me.
You have so many number ones. Like, you have so many awards that you have won. You're so successful. And so for that to even be something that people focus on is so wild.
It was wild. I at the time, I wasn't actually paying attention to that. It was obviously subconsciously hurting because of what happened after that.
Yeah, and so you dropped a substantial amount of weight.
I kept the weight up for a bit, stopped, and then I had my vocal operation, stopped touring, everything kind of slowed down. Then I had my year off, and then I gained a lot of weight back. People didn't see it because I wasn't papped, and I came off social media for a year, but I put on a lot of the weight again. And went through a relationship, started smoking cigarettes, just not looking after my body, being abusive to my body. And then just before my second album came out, literally month and a half before, I was like, when I come back with the second album, I want to look fucking skinny.
Because skinny is success.
Yes.
To you.
Yeah, and I was like, I have to uphold this now, because I was like, I've lost all this weight. I've got to own it. I can't. I was even being crazy. Like, my first album was about being lonely. I need to look. I can't look lonely. If I look fat, I look lonely.
And isn't that interesting? Where do you think that narrative comes from?
I don't know.
I have a theory. Can I tell you my theory about it? I think that, and I noticed this from the year in which I got nationally, publicly fat shamed for months and had photographers camping outside my house, calling me a fat C word to my face. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But I was having a great year. Like, I'd made history, I had a great job, I had loads of clothing lines out, I was making the most money I'd ever made, and I was only 26 years old, self-made. I was in a really great relationship, all my friends were amazing, but every single photograph you will see of me in all of those pictures are only when I look sad because I'm down or I'm tired or I'm picking something up. They only chose to create the narrative around me that I was depressed and fat and eating all the time and always alone. They were photographing me all of the time. There were multiple opportunities to find me looking happy. And yet when I'm slim, they stop. They ask me for the photograph. They don't take it from a bush. They wait for me to put down my bag and smile and pose, and that way they get to create the narrative of oh look, thin and happy. Whereas most of the time that I've been very, very thin in the public is when I've been suffering from a terrible eating disorder, and the same with a lot of the people in this industry. We are trying to fit into these sample sizes that are just inhumanly small, and so therefore most people are quite miserable and thin, but we'll look happy and smiling because that's the story that gets told to us by the media. So I was just wondering what you thought of that theory.
I think that's spot on.
And it was so mad. I was having such a great year, but the narrative around it looked like I wanted to just end my life.
No, I can, I'm so happy you've just told me that, because it's very true, and it puts the piece of the puzzle together in my head. And also, especially because I didn't have a personal life, I became what they were making me out to be, I guess. But you just said the word inhuman there, and I think that's actually been a big part of me being happy recently, is giving into the fact that I am a human being.
Mm-hmm. And therefore being so great and sharing that.
Yeah, I feel like for a long time, I thought I wasn't a human being. I was like, I think maybe I thought I was more special than that, which is, do you know what I mean?
You are
like,
quite special, to be
no,
fair.
but it's just, but in terms of fame, it's like, I don't know, so I'm gonna, you know, become famous and maybe you live forever or something. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. We all shit and piss and cry and binge and
someone told me
forgiving myself is.
Someone told me something great about the humanity of like famous people. So I had to go and like speak at some big award ceremony, and they said that just remember when you're looking out into the crowd and you're looking at like Meryl and Angelina and all those different people, he said every single person in the world has at one point been stuck on a toilet doing a shit, and they've realised that they don't have toilet paper, and they've had to do the shitty walk that you have to do, you know, where you crouch around, you still got your pants around your ankles, like crouching around the house, like a sort of like, like an orc, just looking for toilet paper. And it's so amazing because now you're just like, Dame Judi Dench has done that, like Elton John, like anyone, all the biggest stars. But Cher has at one point done the
not.
shitty crouch.
I bet you Cher has not. Cher has not.
Have I blasphemed?
She has not. Cher doesn't poo. She poos glitter.
Fame is crap, isn't it? Sometimes. Fame brings you like great privilege and you get to meet some cool people sometimes, and fame is the only reason I got a chance to meet you. Because we were moving within a similar circle. But young people are so obsessed with the idea of fame, and they think it is this really amazing thing because of the highlight reel that you see on social media from celebrities. And because we're kind of almost shamed out of ever complaining about the experience, because we do have money and we do get to wear nice stuff and get to have some nice experiences. But I think that that's a really dangerous thing, because young people now want to be famous almost just for the sake of being famous and at any cost. And no one talks about what it's really like. I found it very claustrophobic. What was your experience?
Same. I try and talk about it. In the promo for my second record, I tried to talk about it. But
was that met with much empathy?
No, because I sound so depressing when I talk about it. Because I have very, very passionate views on it. If I had the chance to do this all again, I would not do this. I wouldn't.
Really?
When I talk about it, I feel so depressing, because I think people. I remember George Michael talking about. I don't remember. I wasn't alive, but he talked about fame. He stepped away from fame. He took years out, had the fight with the label, and Frank Sinatra wrote a letter to him, basically being like, cheer up.
I know.
Cheer up, enjoy your fame. And I read that, and it made my heart break, because I can't cheer up about it. It's something that I'm very lucky. I have money now, and which I don't necessarily think is lucky sometimes, because the responsibilities and that come with that is crazy. Well, everyone changes
people towards you.
But my views on fame is why I would not do it again is because I died. So, like, part of my life died. And
in what way?
No one treats me the same, ever. I mean, my mum, my dad and my sisters do, but they also can't, because I'm not the same. The things that I go through every day are very different. You know, talking about the gay thing, I'm 26 years old, right? And I told you, until 18 years old, I hadn't got with a guy, hadn't met a gay man. I became famous at 20. So I had 2 years to have sex with men, and which, moving into London at 18, having sex with men is not a very kind experience. It was very, very aggressive, and what I went through in that time was traumatic. Right. And then I became famous, and then I'm travelling around the world trying to find love, and
everyone knows who you are.
And everyone knows who I am. And now I'm 26, and when it comes to money and success, I feel like a 40-year-old. When it comes to my romantic life and my personal relationship with my body and my head, I feel like a confused 16-year-old boy. So it's hard.
So I'm glad that you're back when it comes to, you feel like you've kind of, I'm sure probably slightly reticently, but you've been very willing and kind with being able to come here and talk to me today about all of these issues. So what do you think has brought you back to wanting to talk about this? Is it that moment that you've had, that epiphany where you've started to look for self-help, and do you want to help other people?
I do want to help other people. But I think you can only do that by helping yourself at first, I think. And I really want to just speak out about weight and body image issues within men. That's all I know, and it's.
And you say that it's been something that's actually been a more problematic thing than coming out as gay for you. Is that this has been?
It's the basis of all my sadness.
Really?
Like literally everything I've ever been sad about is my weight, and it's I struggle with it every day. Like 2 days ago, I had a full day where I was like, I just have to sit alone. I think because I'm getting so sad. I get very, very dark and very sad, and recently I've been able to get out of those holes a bit quicker because of things like I weigh, and because of reading and listening and hearing stories and. Changing my Instagram so that I can change what I'm looking at, And
I was going to ask you, like, what impact has social media had on your brain when it comes to image? Has that made it?
It was awful at first, absolutely awful, and I've had to just change everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what also is that the conversation I think which definitely spinned all this for me is, and I've never spoken about this, and it's something that I'm not even sure on myself, but I recently was reading stories about people who come out as genderqueer, non-binary, and I've always had a bit of a war within my body and my mind about how
you define yourself.
Yes, because I do think like a woman sometimes in my head, and I've sometimes sat there and questioned, do I want a sex change? And it's something that I still think about, like, do I want to? But I don't think it is. When I saw the word non-binary, genderqueer, and I read into it, and I heard these people speaking, I was like, fuck, that is me. Would you explain what that means to you, non-binary? Non-binary genderqueer is that you do not identify in a gender. You are just you. You are a mixture of all different things. You're your own special creation. That's how I take it. It's not, I'm not male or female. I think I float somewhere in between. It's all on a spectrum. I think the same with sexuality. Like I've been with too many straight men to know that not everyone's who says they're straight are fully straight. You can sometimes like doing a bit of this here and a little bit of that there, and you fall in love with people, not genitals. I've always been very free in terms of thinking about sexuality, and so I've just tried to change that into my thoughts on gender as well, and that's spinballed my relationship with my body, because I had breasts when I was 11 years old. I have a very feminine body. When I have sex with men, it's very feminine.
You're a wonderful dancer.
I am feminine in many, many ways, and I've always resented that. I've almost been like, no, that's not manly, that's not this. You've got to work out, you've got to lose weight, because that's what men do. You need the Fight Club body. Yeah. Honestly, I was getting obsessed. I remember sending pictures to my trainer of Tom Hardy, like, got to look like this, got to look like that. But I will never look like that, because there's a bit of a woman in me that won't allow my body to move like that. I put on weight in places that women put on weight, and I think that spinboard everything, actually, because that's me looking at myself like, fuck, maybe I'm not a man, maybe I'm not a woman, maybe I'm just me, and maybe that's okay. And maybe my body, in the same way that my mind does whatever it wants to do and my sexuality does whatever it wants to do, my body is doing whatever it wants to do, and so therefore I should love me in my entirety. And how dare I not like my body? That's crazy. Like, recently I was like, my mum gave birth to me. Like, she loved my body. Like, I was looking after my friend's baby recently, and everyone's like kissing this baby all over, washing him, like he's got his penis out, and everyone doesn't care, and it's just like, you love this baby. And then suddenly you are looking at the body that your mum made and put all that time into, and going, you're ugly, you're this, you're that. That's horrible. That's not okay. What message would you like to give to the people that follow you and see you and your culture? Like, what if there was like a bit of advice that you would ever give to those young people who follow you? I think it's, other than don't be famous. No, I think it's forgiveness. I really do. I think that's what I'd like to promote through whatever I do. Forgiveness for just forgiving yourself in some sort of way. It's okay to trip up. It's okay to be flawed. It's okay to not look the way that people think you have to. And I think that's important, but at the same time, I just want to be myself as much as possible, and I don't want to think about it too much. You know, I just want to post what I post and just let it be a natural thing that I don't obsess over, because, you know, I do want to be a spokesperson. I do want to talk about this shit, but like, I'm going through shit every day. I'm really struggling in my head with stuff. I'm like, I can do interviews like this. I can speak out when I feel comfortable and when I can, but like, I've got a long way to go before I'm happy.
And people and gay people and boys and people who struggle with their body image are not a monolith, and so therefore you don't want to become the spokesperson for that. I definitely feel that way myself.
I just want to promote the fact that self-love, I don't like, the word is weird, but self-love isn't a, I think people think it's like a destination. Like, you're going to reach a point when you're like, fuck, I love myself and I don't have to try anymore. Yeah. It's a practice. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'd like to promote, the practice of life. Like, you know, if you do get sad and you get depressed, if you have body issues, you have to work at that every single day, all day. Mm-hmm. Like you would exercise, like anything. You have to work on it. You have to do stuff to help you, and there's help out there. And
so what help have you had, and what have you done in order to...
I mean, that beautiful book that you were in recently.
Oh, thank you. It's called Feminists Don't Wear Pink.
Feminists Don't Wear Pink. My sister was reading it and she sent it to me, and I loved reading that. I thought it was amazing. I think, so books, Instagram accounts, movies.
So tell me some people that you follow on social media, and or some people who write that you have found to be helpful for you in your journey.
It's not too many, because I'm still new to this.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously I Way is unbelievable.
How did you find I Way?
From you. On your Instagram.
Oh, right, and you didn't know it was mine?
I wasn't following you for ages, and then
Rude.
because I've been years.
I wasn't following you either.
Years, so. And then you popped up, and I was like, Jameela, followed you, and then I saw the I Way thing, and I was like, whoa, it blew my mind. It really did.
Why?
Because you make it. It's cool. Do you know what I mean? You're doing it in a way that feels. It feels...
This isn't me just sort of like, just trying to self-aggrandise.
No.
I Way isn't really just mine. It's a full community of people, and they make their own posts. And so I would love to hear from someone what it has meant to you.
It just feels human in every possible way. And it feels in fashion, in trend as well at the same time, which I think is an important thing. I don't follow things that are in fashion and trend, but it's exciting to see something that I think people would get involved in from all types and from all places.
I think some men look at I Way, and because there's a lot of women on the page, which I think happens because women feel more safe to talk about body issue than men do. Yes. And so we don't have a lot of men on I Way, and that's not something that I would like for everyone to feel like it's a safe space. And would you recommend I Way for?
Oh my God, of course I would. And I think that all comes down to toxic masculinity, for sure. I think it comes down to the fact that you are. It's weak of you to be sensitive or emotional about your body. You know.
Yeah, just deal with it. Man up.
Yeah, man up. Yeah, that term. But I think I Way is a perfect place for guys to do that in a beautiful way. Yeah, I'm trying not to go on Instagram all the time, but when I'm on there, I've
turned it into a safe space for yourself.
A safe space for me.
It's so important to unfollow toxic people. At one point, were you following people that used to make you feel bad about the way that you looked?
Yeah, all I was following was hot guys.
And fitness accounts, and people doing amazing squats.
And everyone just looking unbelievable. Yeah. All the time. And I would be so depressed when I got off my phone every time.
And so now going forward, now that you are not only embracing yourself internally, but also externally, and doing things like this amazing interview that I'm so grateful that you have done, and speaking about this openly, which I think will help so many people, because so many men feel like they can't talk about this. I get hundreds of messages a day, and now more and more tweets recently because of the growth of I Way and my campaigning, and because I think my feminism feels like it's open to men. More and more men talking about the fact that they are struggling with this. Gay, straight, non-binary people telling me that they are struggling with this. People really need this more than ever. So do you think that you will continue to work on your own personal growth and maybe share tips along the way?
I think I will. I think I am going to start to live very loudly, I think.
Cool.
Whereas before I was afraid of who I would offend or if I would have upset myself or I would make mistakes. My mindset at the moment is just fuck it, fuck everyone, fuck everything. I'm gonna be myself to the end, and I'm gonna make mistakes in front of everyone because I'm famous, and I hiding it is too exhausting.
It is, isn't it?
It's too exhausting.
Yeah, you know what? We're cancelling cancel culture.
Yeah.
Cancel culture is now cancelled, and all of the leaving parties are also cancelled.
Yeah.
You're out of here. We don't need you. We don't want you. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, here's to the end of cancel culture. Thank you so much for doing this interview. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it and how cool it is to have a man come here and talk about these issues, because most men would be too afraid to be that vulnerable. You are very special.
Thank you.
You are very important, and I think this will help a lot of people.
Thank you for having me. I love you. Thank you.